Members, and we'll begin under the 5-minute rule with Mr. Biggs.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have to go fast because I think there's just so much that Secretary Mayorkas is responsible for and culpable for. So I'll start with you, Mr. Bradbury. At the direction of Secretary Mayorkas, DHS has released and continues to release tens of thousands of aliens every month into the U.S. through mass parole and now categorical parole. Is this a violation of law?
Yes, it violates INA Section 212 D5A.
Secretary Mayorkas is also mass paroling aliens he himself characterizes as refugees or asylum seekers without demonstrating that there are compelling reasons requiring that that particular alien may be admitted by parole rather than going through the USRAP process for refugee admissions. Is that a violation of law?
Yes.
What law?
It's a violation of INA Section 212 D5B.
Because he's not conducting adequate individualized vetting of the huge volume of mass-released aliens, there's simply no way of knowing how many of the millions of aliens Mayorkas has released into the U.S. fall into these categories of dangerous aliens. Is that a violation of law?
Yes, of Section 212A.
Secretary Mayorkas has instituted, as you've talked about, and all of you have mentioned, is the CBP-1 pre-registration, trying to funnel these illegal migrants to the U.S. ports of entry along our southern border. Is that a violation of law?
Yes, of 212, of 235, and I would say of 207.
All right. So what's happened here, of course, is that just in this past week, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit halted 2 DHS efforts to release massive numbers of illegal migrants into the U.S. on parole. So this is what one of the judges said, in this opinion right here, that what his violations of the law, Secretary Mayorkas' violations of the law, are, quote, akin to posting a flashing "come in, we're open" sign on the southern border. The unprecedented surge of aliens that are started arriving at the southwest border almost immediately after President Biden took office, and that has continued unabated over the past 2 years, was a predictable consequence of these actions. Indeed, former Border Patrol Chief Raul Ortiz credibly testified based on his experience that there have been increases in migration when there are no consequences, and migrant populations believe they will be released into the country, close quote. And I won't go into the additional case as well, but I'm going to ask Mr. Wolf this question. We've established that Secretary Mayorkas is engaged in conduct violates his oath of office and the law. My question for you is, do you believe Secretary Mayorkas is violating the law intentionally, willfully, or is it just some oversight on his part?
So I'm going to have to guess. I think it's all of the above. I think they know exactly what they're doing, they being the department. This construct that they have put in place is not by happenstance or by chance, it's by design. And I think it's been very clear over the last 2 years. So everything that's going on at the border and the crisis that we see unfolding there was completely predictable. And we had talked about to the incoming administration about some of the challenges that we had in the Trump administration and warned them that if they did half of what was campaigned on during 2020, that they would see a crisis at the border. And so presumably they knew that, presumably they heard that, so yet it still went forward.
The Secretary and the new administration heard that. Incoming Secretary, right?
Numerous briefings, again, mainly with transition staff.
Okay, Mr. Edlow, I wanted to ask you this question, and it's related to testimony we heard yesterday about what's going on the border and the impact on Border Patrol agents and morale, et cetera. What are you hearing about what's going on because of the arrangements of this secretary?
Yeah, sir, I've heard that morale is at an all-time low throughout Border Patrol and throughout other enforcement entities. You know, I've spoken to some people who have been at the border recently. They've seen that exact same thing, that people are just very unhappy. They don't know whether they should be doing the job or whether they are supposed to be ignoring the law. And a lot of it's being run by memos that are, or just oral guidance being passed on.
I want to ask you the same question that I asked, and this is with regard to Secretary Mayorkas. And that is, do you believe that what he's doing is intentional, willful? Or is it just he's just an incompetent buffoon and can't learn his lessons?
I don't think he's incompetent, Congressman. You looking at the memos, looking at the departmental actions, the regulatory actions, this is all part and parcel of an intentional action.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think it's long past time for him to be impeached. Now I yield back.